Welcome to the Kee To Growth Podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you're in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success, starting now. Key Marketing specializes in Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to build your brand awareness or drive leads using social media ads. If you're ready to elevate your social media, go to keyheartmarketing.com or follow us on social media. Welcome back, everyone, to the Kee To Growth Podcast. I am your host, Jen McKee, and today I have a guest who stumbled into my video shoot that I was having on my own. Actually, he was sent over to me by some pretty cool people, but we actually haven't had a whole lot of chance to talk, so I'm kind of excited about this podcast where I get to learn as much about him as you do. His name is Jarod Smith. So, Jarod, if people don't know you, tell them who you are.
Love it. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Jen. Yeah, the introduction was about like that. It's like, hey, you got to go over and see this person. You got to go do this podcast. So I literally kind of stumbled in and I'm like, hey, and she's like, whoa, wait a minute. You got to set this up. You got to schedule it. And I'm like, oh, that's not me. So that was kind of our formal introduction. But yeah, a little bit about me. So the founder of Clogbusters Drain Cleaning Repair, Des Moines, Iowa. New construction background. So I actually started a plumbing company when I was 18 years old without a license, AJ Plumbing. We did hotels, townhomes, assisted livings, a lot of multifamily stuff. Still to this day is around. We kind of transitioned everybody from AJ Plumbing to Clogbusters, and there's a big thing with that. Plumbers aren't drain cleaners aren't plumbers. And so what started as a little hey, I want to partner with the guy in a drain truck to help us out a little bit, turned into something a lot bigger. And the guys and the plumbers say, well, oh my goodness, we're gonna be turd herders now, and blah 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 blah. So you go through that whole cultural change, and it was very interesting. It's been a fun road, but that first initial shock of coming from the new construction to then getting into service, and they're two completely different beasts. My mom, God love her, she's an amazing person, but she was a professional video game player and a glorified errand runner, right? I mean, she didn't do much, and she came up with a name, and I used to race this Frank car in Knoxville, Iowa, so the kid that did the graphics came up with the rap, and yeah, so the first band was
Is it Ghostbusters related? You guys like lean on Ghostbusters, right?
If there's something strange in your drain, who are you going to call? Clogbusters. So it's kind of,
that's so good.
We have, without infringing on them, to make sure that we're kind of legally protected there. So, but, yeah, I mean, so that's a little background on me.
Okay. Did you say you started this without a license?
So I started AJ Plumbing without a license. I was 18 years old. I was just a helper. I was working for a plumbing company, and
I see. So you were like working your way up.
Well, no, I was working for a plumbing company. The boss came in and they said, hey, we had this guy that called that wants us to do their plumbing work. And so I went home back then, which, if you remember, it seems so long ago, but the year 2000, there was a book and it was about this thick. And I looked up the name of that company and I called and I said, hey, this is Jarod with AJ Plumbing. I heard you were looking for a plumber. And he goes, AJ Plumbing, who's that? I've never heard of you. It didn't exist until that day. And my roommate's name was Aaron, and Aaron had the license. And so that's how AJ Plumbing was formed in 2001.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so Clogbusters. So this podcast, we talk a lot about marketing. Like, it's meant to be a marketing resource for people who are looking to grow. What do you think has really contributed to your growth, especially like over the last 3 to 5 years?
And then honestly, I'm really interested in like what's going on in 2026 because I think it's different. But what do you think was like one of your main contributors of growth?
So I think our big thing is we're doing something different, right? Drain cleaning as a whole. Let's just face it. I mean, they're scum of the earth. They're usually crackheads, pedophiles, felons. Our plumbers. Your plumbers are your glorified fighter pilots with badges and honors and licenses and all this knowledge, right? So changing the
Mm-hmm.
culture of the industry is really where my passion is.
Nice.
Basically saying, okay, how do we take the culture of this industry of what's formed of it, and how do we get them paid what they're worth? And so how we've been able to grow is we're providing a much needed service, charging a lot of money to do it, and our drain cleaners are making 1 to 2x what our licensed plumbers are. So our growth,
Interesting.
we're hiring and recruiting kids that have college degrees, running them through our
Wow.
training academy, which Clogbusters, you can go anywhere in the world and learn plumbing, electrical, or HVAC. Right, Jen? You can go anywhere. You can go anywhere. You can sign up for an apprenticeship program. Where do you go to learn to run drain?
Right, right, right.
Bill learned from Bob. Bob learned from Jim. Jim learned from whomever. Well, not
Mm-hmm.
no more. So part of the growth and the scalability is Clogbusters created our own drain cleaning academy, the only one in the United States that I'm aware of. So we recruit people that are badasses that want to win every day. We bring them in,
Yeah.
we teach them,
Yeah.
train them our process, and then they get trained on real life scenarios. So we take dead animals, tree roots, grease, towels, rags, and we stuff it in cleanouts of lines. And we're able to take somebody with no drain cleaning experience or plumbing experience and have them in a truck within 6 to 8 weeks, producing $40,000 a month in labor only revenue with $1,000 average ticket. So
Wow.
our growth goes into, success on marketing, but it goes back to our brand. It goes back to our wraps. It goes back to our name clearly states what we do. When you say Clogbusters, you know what we do. The scalability and the processes and the systems that we have in place to be scalable, to grow. And that's how we started Clogbusters in late of 2020, December of 2020. And we went, I think it was like 80,000 or 80, I can't remember, to 1,600,000 to 3 point something to 5 million in 2025. And we just did $1 million last month in
That's
revenue.
awesome.
So, we're tracking to do somewhere around 12 or 15 million this year, with no acquisitions, no partnerships. And that's all drain cleaning.
I love that. So what you basically did is I'm not going to do this the way that everybody else is doing. And I'm going to create the people rather than look for the people. And so when you decided to start this academy, was that like from the beginning? Like when you started Clogbusters, you also started the academy, or like you started Clogbusters and you're like, I can't find the right people who are going to make the money that I think we can make here. So I guess I need to create them.
Yeah, no. So good question. I started Clogbusters as a guy. I'm like, hey, if you ever want to partner on some drains, let's do it. And he did, and he was clean cut. The
Yeah.
dude looked great, Jen. I mean, he was a good looking kid. And I just realized that he was just a good looking crackhead. And I thought, man, oh man. So drain people they're not referable. The, in-home service, a lot of the people that
Okay.
you work with, they're not going to refer a drain cleaning company because of the way they look, their image, the way they don't, they don't follow a lot of the processes that people want their customers to experience. So as I got into it and I
Yeah.
started with the one, I'm like, man, so then I'm calling, and I'm trying to get people and trying to get people. And that's when I realized, man, we could take people, train them, and teach them. And, Craig is my dad, which add a little ingenuity to the background, was the leading manufacturer for water slides. in the early to mid 80s in the whole United States, in the whole world. So he built and manufactured water slides and built water parks. His
That's cool.
ingenuity skills of bringing everything and building the academy, which then goes into the perfect van pack jetter, which is in every single one of our trucks
Yeah.
with options, training on the jetters and giving the customer all the options for the different levels of service, right?
Well, and so I'm curious because I mean, you mentioned a lot of like the tactical trainings that you do, but in order to charge more, you have to have more value, right? So is it also how much emphasis is put on client experience and how do you like when did that come into it? Or maybe I'm just assuming, but I'm sure that that's a big part of it, right?
Oh, it's massive, right? I mean, and that's what all owners and trainers and everybody deal with every time, building the value, building the rapport, having the relationship, right? Doing all that stuff. And so it's constant training and working with people. I mean, the reality of it
Yeah.
is most companies are tech companies that make minor repairs. You can think of yourself as
Yeah.
whatever you are. You could be a stud HVAC guy and all the, plumbing, drain guy, electric, whatever, but you have to be a tech guy and utilize the systems and tools and the methods out there, AI, different things, or you're never going to succeed. You're not going to be able to compete. So building the value is a really hard thing, just like it's a really hard thing to go back and that's where it goes into teaching an old dog new tricks. You go and you take a
Yeah.
service technician, whether they be HVAC, plumbing, or electrical, that was on a time and material company where the owner bought himself a job and it wasn't really a company and they're just,
Right.
doing hourly rates to go to work for somebody on the flat rate, and they can't justify it because they think they're charging too much money, which is the big thing that
Mhm.
doesn't make sense. So the people that are listening, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's so much money. Shut up, stupid. You're devaluing yourself. At
Right.
Clogbusters and the growth, I've literally given away 20% of the company to the employees on the balance sheet. Not a, hey, if and or when, they didn't buy in, they didn't invest in, they all have ownership. And so when the company's profitable,
Wow.
we went from, based on our EBITDA. So we did $1 million last month, 900 and some $1,000 on 30% EBITDA. Now, people that are listening to this are going to say complete crazy. I don't believe it. Call me. I'll give you my number and I have no problem sharing my my financials with
Yeah.
you. 30% is unheard of. So the point is before that, building up to that, but everybody wins. And so, that's the big part of it. Building something where everybody wins, understanding our value, building our value, and not devaluing people that charge the rates they do by saying, man, that's expensive. So it's
Right.
hard to get that mentality out of an old dog.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's why it's easier to pull from somebody who's not in the industry because you're not having to like go against things that they've already learned.
Or have an open mind, right? I mean, and they got to have an open mind. Now, think
Mhm.
about it this way. Home service gets referred to in time and material all the time. It's one of our big objections on building value. Have you ever thought about how much labor cost McDonald's has in making your Big Mac and what their material cost was?
Yeah.
Have you? I mean, have you? Have you ever thought about what the time and material breakdown is with your banking institution, um, your insurance company, your car when you go to buy a car from a new dealership? Well, how much material and how much labor was there? Um, so the
Right.
best
It's
way that
just done so much here.
yeah, because we make it that way. We're our own worst enemy. So
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
advice to the people that are listening is on the pushback. And if you think about it, hey, you have Big Mac, and let's call it $10 to buy a Big Mac. I'm just throwing out an even number. But yeah, you have the guy that can go to the store and spend $10 and feed 10 people by making 10 hamburgers. We
Mhm.
devalue ourselves and get down on ourselves as technicians when we get those calls or those tough customers that are DIYers. They called with the intention to buy and they called you as the expert. And so build the value. If they could do it themselves, they would have.
Right. Yeah, I think that's so good. So do you think that you look more, and I'm going to use the term like salesperson, but like, do you think that you're hiring more for somebody who's comfortable with sales? And I think that you would have to. So the people who are coming out for you, just so that I understand the structure, they're doing the job and selling the job. Is that right? Or do you have people who are coming out and selling the job and then people who are coming out and doing the job?
No, we have selling techs. So we don't run a 2-man
Okay.
close like a Nexstar system. We run the new flat rate. New flat rate is the technician has the
Okay.
iPad with all the options. So they are service and repair. And what we've been able to do is we've been able to be profitable where all your other PE companies and other operations out there will advertise $99 drain clear, $99 drain open, because they're begging for the opportunity to get in there, stick that camera in there, baby, and let's sell, right? Total
Yeah.
different mentality. We're
Mm-hmm.
drain cleaners and we're good at it. We're the best at it. And we're the best equipped
Mm-hmm.
of anybody in the United States. Our trucks are. And we also have the option to replace that sewer as well. Our technicians are trained and up on that to give the customers the options. And then we do have people to come in, and help out in the times when they need to.
I think that's so great. So I think obviously part of what is it bringing in your top line revenue and your bottom line is all around how you're training, how you're selling, and how you're valuing yourself. But I'm curious with the growth that you guys have had over the last 3 years, like you just said, and especially in this last month, where are most of your leads coming from, or what is one of your best lead sources right now?
You're not going to like to hear me when I say this, but your best lead sources are referrals, which is what, when I say that, marketing people,
So like what percentage of your business is
you
referrals?
really want 50% of it to be referral based. I don't know exactly, but the goal is to where you can have 50% of your customers as a referral base. Our cost per acquisition in Des Moines right now, I think, is around $78. Our ROAS, is somewhere around 7-8x, which is really good. But our cost per acquisition in Grand Rapids in the new market's around $200. So, the biggest thing is, I would challenge everybody to make sure you know your numbers, feel comfortable with your marketing people that you work with. The best leads that come in are referral based. Those are going to be your highest ticket average.
What ads are you running right now? Like Google, social media, OTT, billboard, like what all are you doing?
Dude, so we, and I knew nothing about marketing, right? I feel like I got a minor or master's degree in marketing after being in home service for 2 or 3 years, but love numbers. But anyway, up here in Grand Rapids, I hung a billboard upside down. And so I took our logo and I hung it all upside down.
Oh, nice.
And everyone's like, "Are you really going to do that? You're going to hang it upside down?" I said, "Absolutely." They're like, "It's like $5,000 a month." I said, "I get it. I'm hanging it upside down." And the very first day we did, we had AI. Some guy called in. He's like, "Hey, I don't know if this is going on. What's going on? But somebody messed up and they put your logo upside down. It's on the billboard, blah, blah, blah." So, to answer that, PPC, LSA, GBP, all your standard, I call it SEO, organic, trying to work on all that for leads. We do run
Mm-hmm.
TV, we do run radio, we do have some billboards, but every market's different too. Like going into Lake of the Ozarks, which is about 5 hours from Des Moines, and it's really kind of more of a vacation. So you come in, billboards are more of a, we're new to that, so we're getting, I don't really have the results because we're still growing, but the rocket's just sitting there
Yeah.
burning and it's getting ready to take launch, right? So I mean, I'll make many mistakes along the way, and getting started up here in Grand Rapids, greenfielding in a new market's definitely been a challenge as well. But we're starting to get there.
A lot of that I see is like, especially all your Google, PPC, LSA, like that's definitely baseline stuff. And what's great about that is that these are people who have a problem. They're looking for a solution. You guys are obviously,
Demand
when somebody
service.
calls in, like your conversion rate is probably pretty high, at least for like leads coming in. That's something, obviously y'all have worked really hard on your techs. And so what about like your CSRs and your people answering the phone?
Yeah, no, that process is just as important. Yeah, our conversion rate is around 90%, which is unheard of in the market, but we're a demand service.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody calls
Yeah.
us, I mean, that's a big difference, I mean, our call booking rate and all of our stuff in there. But yeah, I mean, accountability processes that you have, but you're constantly pushing. A lot of people say, Jared, you seem like you're never happy. I'm always happy, but I'm just never content. We always want to
Mm,
push each other to be better every single day, get better and improve and find ways to make each other better. And so I think,
yeah.
no matter what it is, if we said, oh, hey, we're perfect, or hey, we got it figured out, you're kidding yourself, right? So it's equally as important, the leads that are coming in, and then your marketing company telling you, hey, first thing we do when it's slow, what do we do, Jen? When it's slow, you're in marketing, what does the company do? I call you up. I'm like, Jen, I need more leads. I need more leads. And Jen goes, well, hey, tell me about the 100 leads that I gave you that you didn't do anything with. Tell me about the
Right. Look at
technicians
you're
that,
optimizing it.
yeah, tell me about the technicians that got kicked out.
Yeah.
Jared, tell me more about this
Hmm.
technician, John, that he went to 10 different customers' houses and they literally paid him the service call fee to leave without fixing his problem.
Yeah.
So, you know, all the
Yeah.
way across the board, what you do with the leads, so marketing's one part, but then what you do with them is way harder than getting them. So, for the
Right.
people out there, I mean, just because you're slow, marketing and paying for that PPC, LSA, all those different things, that is one pulley of the motor. You have your guerrilla marketing,
Correct.
you have all your your social media, your community involvement, your texts with your Clover projects and going door to door and involvement. So there's so many different things, your reviews. But by golly, it's easy, Jen, when our phones are slow to pick them up and sure blame our marketing people and say, hey, you're not doing a good job.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you're absolutely right. Like we have to look at levers that you can pull, and some of them are in marketing, but like marketing likely isn't going to bring you leads tomorrow. And so what are some other things that you can look at, or bring you leads today? It'll be more tomorrow. But so what are some other things that you can look at? I'm curious if somebody's stuck at like 1 million in revenue, what do you think is going to help unlock them to the next level? What do you think that they're
Oh,
missing there?
oh man.
And I feel like you kind of just mentioned some stuff, but
All right, so I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say it in a very humbling way because I have an amazing team. Okay, I have an amazing trainer. I have an amazing staff that builds and manufactures the hydrojetters. I call it our profit center. I have a great team of people. Everybody told me, my goal was to go at 5 million to 10 million to 20 million to 40 million. And then a year of
Mhm.
fat, go to PE, go to market, doing 50 million a year on 40 to 50% EBITDA, which everybody says is impossible, which I will prove wrong.
Yeah.
And they said, well, it's really hard to get over the hump of 1 million. Or, there's these people that say, well,
Yeah.
it's really hard to get over the hump of 3, or it's 5, and then it's 7 or 8 or 6 or 7 million, and then it's 10 million, and then it's 20 million. My advice is have your processes and work. We did 5 million last year with 8 technicians. We currently have, I think we will end the year this year projected at like 24, 25 techs. I think we have somewhere around
Mhm.
17 or 18 lead trucks right now. We did $1 million, and we went from our highest revenue month was 575,000. And that actually happened in
Mhm.
January. And we skipped 600, skipped 700, skipped 800, and went straight to 900,000 a month. So, with that being said,
Mhm.
what would you say to the people that are stuck at something? I don't know what or why. I understand the people that are smarter than me. You got to have the infrastructure, the key management people. But I think the only person that gets stuck at 1 million or stuck at 3 or stuck at 5 or stuck at 10 or stuck at 20 is the person that's in their own head and they're stuck at that. We had a meeting in 45 minutes with our controller and our team. And I said, here's how we did 5 million. And it was a 45-minute meeting on how we're going to do 12 or 13 million on conservative numbers for 2026. Put a plan together, have a
Mhm.
goal, and
Yeah.
follow it.
I think a lot about that, like, 10x is easier than 2x because you're thinking differently. So if you have a plan and you're trying to figure out how to go from 5 million to 10 million, it's going to look a lot different than going from 5 million to 6 million or something. Like you have to implement different systems. You have to look at different marketing. You have to think about pricing differently, think about your experience for your customers differently, because that's such a bigger goal.
Yeah, I mean, most people have meetings and they sit there and they'll have meetings and they'll be like, oh, we did 10 million this year. We're going to try for 6.25% growth. And we're going to try and do 10,625,000 or something. I'm like, but where does that number even come from? And who picks that?
Yeah.
Like, what is your goal? Set your
Mhm.
goals, get a plan and hit it. We did 5 million. We're going to far exceed 10 million. We'll probably do more like 15, 16, 17 million. And we will far exceed 20 million. We will far exceed our goals. Set your mind to it, get a plan and work. Famous 4-letter word called work.
Yeah. Do you guys train for outside companies
We will
in your academy?
Yeah, so we are building we sell the perfect van pack jetter. So we are actually the only with our academy, we will train competitors. When I say competitors, people that do what we do, we will train and teach them on
Yeah.
the cabling machines. We're the only company that I know of that sells hydro jetters, that teaches you how to run them and use them and what nozzles do what. So yes, we do that. We don't teach people our process unless we partner with them. So they can buy the equipment,
Okay.
come through, utilize the academy. I really say reach out to me, dude. I want to partner with everybody. I just want to win. I have an extreme
Yeah.
passion for what I do. And it's a great tool that a lot of the people that watch could use as a bolt on, for their shoulder season or shoulder seasons, the HVAC guys, the plumbers, it goes hand in hand. So I really got it figured out, and I'd love to help whomever's listening or watching. And feel free to share my cell phone
Yeah.
number, share my cell, and reach out to me directly for sure. Come see us in Des Moines, Iowa, baby.
Super
You can
cool.
come check it out.
I love that. And also I think that what's one thing that you've kind of pointed out that I feel like is helpful for anybody who's feeling a little bit stuck is like, I almost feel like some of the things that you've talked about come from when you just like dump like 30 ideas of like, how could this look different? Because you're talking about selling this hydro jetter and teach it and having this academy and moving into these different markets, which obviously, I mean, maybe not obviously, but a lot of people are looking at growth in a way of moving into different markets or acquisitions or something. But it's like, just because everybody's doing something one way doesn't mean that's the only way to do it. And sometimes you just have to like push every idea out and see what pops up, so that you can come up with something like what you're talking about. I mean, what Clogbusters is really.
Yeah, I mean, it's telling the story, right? The marketing, telling the story, having a plan. I mean, you've said, people get stuck and they have 30 ideas. I mean, you go to work conferences and they say, take 3 things away, try to implement 3 things. Don't get overwhelmed. Stay focused on what's a task, but I'm going to say, here's probably the big part to the experts say you can't get to that point is because a lot of people aren't charging enough money to pay somebody's salary that's going to help get them to that next point. Most companies can't pay somebody $100,000 a year or $150,000 a year to be a management role that's going to push them to be better. We say, oh man, we can't afford that. So it all goes back to, building the value, charging them, charging what you're worth, getting everybody paid what they're worth, and recruiting. As Tommy Mello would say, A+ players.
I'm just even thinking about like creating the business focused only on drain clearing. Like that is such a different idea than what you were even doing, because you were doing plumbing and then to like, and you said commercial, right? So like completely switching what you're doing and building an entire business on it. I think that's sometimes where you can get hung up on this in any way, like they're like, oh, well, I've always done plumbing, so I should just open up a plumbing business and then I'll just do it exactly like how everybody else is saying to do it. And then I'll try to find plumbers the same way that everybody else is trying to find plumbers. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can niche down into specific things. And with you focusing solely on drain clearing, you can not only partner with any other trades company, you can partner with any plumbing business in your area too, really.
That's 100% correct, because what we do is we pay them $100 per converted call. So there's a lot of home service companies in our area that we take their drain calls, and then guess what? We point out the concerns or whatever, and we kick all the plumbing leads back to them. So they're not throwing it back out there where
Right.
they could lose
I mean,
their
it's like a
members.
win-win-win, and they're putting a great company out there.
100%. And so it's a win-win, great referral type base. So, I mean, anywhere in the United States, baby, I love change. And you're right. You got to be able to change. You got to step outside that comfort zone and be willing to change and in order to grow.
I love that. I think that you shared so much incredible stuff with us today. We actually, for our audience, we had to shift our podcast recording here because Jarod was driving yesterday, and I just don't condone driving and
I'm still
and
in
podcasting.
a van.
But
I'm still in a van, so apologies. I brought a van from Grand Rapids to Des Moines, and I was gonna stay, and now I got to take this van back to Des Moines as we're stocking them and building trucks for Grand Rapids. So, but no, I love it.
Fun.
I appreciate it, and I got 4% on my iPad, so if it dies, but please, Jen, share my.
Okay, well, we're almost done.
Cut.
We're almost done. I got one more question for you.
Fire away.
Before we go here, you're on the Kee To Growth podcast. So what is the key to growth?
Love what you do and get everybody involved and don't paddle the boat alone. I can't do it alone. And so on the Kee To Growth, it's let everybody have skin in the game and design a system to where everybody wins and you will conquer the world. And that's what we're doing.
I love that. All right. So if people want to find you, where should they go to connect with you?
Oh, you can call me right on my cell phone or send me a text. My number is 515-202-0955. Again, that's 515-202-0955. My email is Jarod, Jarod, at clogbuster.net, no S, CLOGBUSTER.net. Yeah, hit me up if you definitely want to get into the drains. I'd love to help you win. I'd love to partner with you. Let's blow it up. I mean, let's just do it and have fun. So,
love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. This was really great.
Hey, I appreciate it, Jen. Thanks so much for having me and let me know. I'd love to be back. So, all right.
Awesome.